Hello, welcome back to the farm. It's January and, well, we all know what that means. It's time to plant our onion seed. Now, I have gotten questions from some of the subscribers on why we plant our onions from seed instead of just ordering them from Dixondale or some of the other online retailers. And there's really a couple reasons. One is I like having complete control over what's going on with those plants. I know for a fact that they grew from seed, what they grew in, what's been put on them. There's no preservatives and pesticides, herbicides. There's none of that. It is exclusively what we do with them. And of course, we don't spray. The second, and maybe just as critical an issue, is cost. When you order plants online, the people that you're ordering them from, Dixondale or whoever, has taken the time, the effort, and the expense to grow them to a decent size to send to you. Well, that comes, at a cost. When you order a bunch, and that's how onions generally come, that's 50 to 75 plants. And that's about $15 to $20 depending on where you get it. Now, when I order seeds, in this particular case, these came from Haas, there's 1,000 in a package. It cost me $15. So I can have 1,000. And let's just say that I have 50% germination, which I always get 90+% germination. Let's just say I get half that, right? The cost is exponentially less than what you would get if I had to buy the plants. We buy a whole lot of onion plants when we have to buy them. So if you're wanting to grow onions economically and understanding exactly what they've been on, this is the only way to go. Let's get started. Now, in order to grow onion seeds, it takes a special setup, especially when you do it in bulk. Now, in the past, we have grown our onions in this type of tray. Now, this type of tray works great. And this particular one is about 5 years old. It's lasted a long time. It's very nice. But it's a lot of labor dropping the seeds into each one. Now, we'll do that with lettuce and cabbage and everything else. But for onions, there's no need. So we're going to take the standard tray and we're going to fix this so we can grow onions in it, hopefully for years and years to come. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to look at this tray. And if you look at it, there's no holes in it. Well, why do we want holes in it? Because we bottom water. Let's talk about bottom watering for a minute. When you water from the bottom, i.e. have another tray, just like this one, and let the water seep in from the bottom, the roots will go down. They will go strong. They will go very well. When you water from the top, the roots have a tendency to be a little more shallow. So we're going to have to make this so it will drain water. So what do we need to do that? Drill and drill bit. We're going to put some water holes in it so that when we do water from the bottom, the water will seep up and water our plants. So now we have holes in our flat. Next thing we need to do, add some dirt. So let's do it. Dirt. You can make your own dirt, by the way, but you need to know what you're doing or you'll introduce weeds, fungus, and who knows what else into your mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our dirt And we're going to fill this thing up. Not so hard, huh? This dirt has been sitting around. It's kind of chilly. It's sitting around for a little while. Maybe since last fall. I can't remember last time we had to go get some. This came from a local garden center. We try to do as much of that as we can, although you can't always find what you need when you need it. When you use this method, you're going to see you use a little more dirt than what you normally would. Now, you can see that our dirt is a little uneven, and it's certainly not compressed. Now, we don't want to compress our soil a lot, but we certainly want to compress it a little bit and level it up. So we're going to take our 2x4 here, highly technical tool, and we're going to kind of squish it down. And by doing that, it allows us to finish filling up our tray with dirt. If you don't do that, when you put water from the bottom, the soil level will drop. And especially with onions, you need a couple of inches. So you need to make sure that you do this part. Yeah, I'm in the milking barn. If you didn't hear that, that's one of our girls wanting to come in. It's going to be a minute or two though. And so, okay, it's not perfect, but it's good enough for what we need, right? We certainly don't want to compress it too far. So we're done with our dirt. The next thing we want to do is I'm going to put this in the other tray for stability. And we're going to get our seed out. Now, our seed is here somewhere. Up here. And we're going to sprinkle the seed. Now, why wouldn't I go ahead and put them in? You know, it's just too much time. You know, one thing about farming and homesteading and everything else is you're going to find that time is hard. Now, I just recently retired within the last 6 months. And I have more time than I used to, but there's still not enough time in the day. Now this is, by the way, these are candies. We always plant candy variety onions. And you can get them from all over the place. We prefer Haas, but I mean, you can get them from wherever. And I'm going to sprinkle the seeds the best I can. And we're going to, you know, we're going to spread them out. And we're hoping to have 300 or 400 onion seeds here anyway, or onion plants. Still plenty of seeds in the package, by the way. Now, our seeds are in there. So what do we do now? Well, there's a couple things we need to worry about. One is because we're going to water from the bottom, there's got to be some space between these two trays. So what I did was I went out and found some old scrap lumber to create some space. And so I'm just going to lay these in here, and I'm going to lay this on top. Okay, I'm going to try to spread my seeds around a little better. Now, here's the key to the whole process. Now that our seeds are down, our dirt is in, we could go ahead and water it, put it in the germination chamber, and it would probably grow. That's not what we're going to do, though. What we're going to do is we're going to put vermiculite on the top. Now, why do we use vermiculite? Well, really two reasons. One is that vermiculite will seal the surface, and so the water loss in the germination chamber through the germination process is minimal, and I don't have to go water it every 5 minutes. The second thing is it helps kill off funguses and diseases. And so when you have this on the top, it helps keep all of those bad things from seeping into your soil and messing up your onions. So That's why we do it, and it's an important thing. So let's put our vermiculite on the top. By the way, the vermiculite we got came from Amazon because, well, I couldn't find it locally. More people should use that, don't you think? This is a finer vermiculite, and all you do is you lay it across the top and cover up your seeds. Just like this. Not a rocket science kind of thing. We will kind of level it out. But maybe 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, something like that will be fine. The stuff's pretty cheap, so you know, you can be pretty liberal about it, much as I hate to use that word. Now, we grow a bunch of onions, as you can tell. 200, 300, 400 plants a year. Why do we do that? Well, first of all, I grow for a couple different families. We have grown children, and they have their children, so we give some to them, and some of them actually take the plants and grow some. But the second thing is, you know, the average American eats 20 pounds of onions per year. And so that's probably just eat and go. They're not trying to save anything. First of all, candies will save about 3 months before you start having problems. But what we do is we make a thing called onion powder, where you can kind of grind it down, and these onions will last darn near forever. And so you can't ever have enough. So, kind of covered up our flat. Now, as you can tell, this is not a rocket scientist kind of operation, but it's something that needs to be done about 2 months before your last frost date. Now, we can put onions out obviously before the frost, but in order to remember when to do this, you need to get them in as early as you can, at least in our growing zone. You can take that as kind of a rule of thumb. 2 months before your frost date, get your onion seeds in. So it just depends on where you're at and how that applies. Now, we're going to put water in the bottom, and what we're going to do is we're going to let that water sit, and we're going to watch our vermiculite, and when it changes color, it's ready to go in the germination chamber. So let's put water in the flat. Those cute little holes that we put in earlier will allow the water to seep up into our soil. And if you do it right, you'll see this thing float just a little bit. That won't last long. But we're going to keep an eye on our vermiculite. If you can see, looking at the vermiculite as it is now, it's a pretty bright color. And when it gets damp, it's going to turn a little bit brown. You'll be able to tell it's damp. And when that's the case, it's time to put it under some sort of controlled environment so they'll germinate properly. We'll get probably anywhere from 95 to 100% germination in our germination chamber, but you could do it with growing mats, lights, whatever. You want to try to keep a consistent temperature of 78 degrees during the complete germination process. Once that's done, then we pull them out, put them under the lights, and we can talk about how long to leave them under the lights. This is an intermediate variety, by the way. But once that's done, hopefully we'll have great germination. So let's keep an eye on this thing and see what happens. As you can see, the one corner that I didn't get quite deep enough, the vermiculite is starting to change color. And if you look, there are spots here and a couple other spots in there that are starting to change. So that's how you can tell you have enough water in there where it's all been, the uptake has been such where the seed will now get proper moisture. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this flat, put it in the germination chamber, which again is set at 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and it runs at about 80 to 100% humidity. It just depends on how I set it. This one will be ultra high because I prefer to have the highest humidity possible during the wintertime because how dry it is. But you can go as low as 80% and still have amazing germination, especially with onions. Onions are easy. I'm really surprised more people don't grow onions from seed. It's just easier, I guess, to get the plant and put it in. But wow, this is cheap and certainly effective. So let's put this in the germination chamber and see what we get. Here's the germination chamber. It used to be a Dr. Pepper machine that sat here for years and years and years. I cut a hole in the side, put an air conditioning unit, that's mostly for the summer when we grow lettuce, put some controls on for heat and humidity, and basically, it keeps everything at the proper growing temperature. This is what it looks like on the inside. You can see the different sensors, and I'll put that in one of the flats. But basically, it keeps everything at the proper temperature at the proper time. Well, that's really all there is to onions. I'm really surprised more people don't grow onions. Matter of fact, I've had people send me messages telling me they didn't even know you could grow them from seed. Again, it's effective, cost effective, and you really kind of get to know your plants a lot better because you know what's been on them. If you have any questions, let me know. Until next time, I'll see you down at the barn.